As I stepped into the restroom, a surprising encounter with my stepson unfolded, leading me to make a choice that turned the moment into one of the most thrilling experiences I've ever had. It was just another Tuesday, seemingly ordinary, when the events began to unfold. The house lay in a serene hush, a familiar calm that often enveloped it during the nights, and my stepson Liam returned home a tad earlier than usual. His car was parked with precision. In the driveway, Liam had crossed the threshold into a new realm, leaving boyhood behind. At 21, he carried a quiet assurance, yet a whisper of doubt lingered in his exchanges. Once I set my bag aside and slipped off my heels, a delicate sound of running water drifted down from above, capturing my attention. A whisper of instinct told me that Liam was in the shower. It was a familiar occurrence, yet an extraordinary ambience lingered in the air. I sought to shake off the lingering feeling as I busied myself with a quick sip of water. The evening unfolded with a sense of quiet expectation, featuring just myself, Liam, and the gentle calm that enveloped our home. With my partner Patrick away on a business trip, Liam's father would not return until the following morning. As I stepped out of the house, an unusual sense of emptiness enveloped me. As I climbed the stairs, I noticed the door was slightly open, and the sound of running water grew louder. A flicker of curiosity urged me to steal a seemingly innocent glance. Yet, what unfolded before my eyes left me utterly transfixed. Peering through the door's crack, I caught sight of Liam at the sink. With his back facing me, he stood shirtless, shoulders gently slumped, a silent figure in the fading light. His hands moved with purpose, perhaps focused on something specific, yet I could not make out what it was. His pants hung low on his hips, giving him an air of casualness that was quite unlike him. Liam moved through life with a careful grace, his every action measured and deliberate. In the realm of privacy, an open door stood as a rare occurrence. I took a moment to gather my thoughts. Should I gently knock, raise my voice in a call, or quietly close the door, letting him stay in his peaceful solitude while I ponder my choice? The door let out a haunting creak as I shifted my weight, causing Liam to spin around in sheer astonishment. His eyes grew wide with a spark of fear. I didn't realize you were here, he murmured, quickly trying to grab a towel to hide what he'd been up to. His voice quivered, and his demeanor was far from that of the composed young man. I had grown accustomed to it. I had no desire to impose myself. I spoke quickly, averting my eyes as a warm blush crept across my cheeks. I sensed the water's presence, a whisper of trouble in the air, as his face turned a deep crimson. His eyes fixed on the towel gripped tightly in his fist. No, it holds no significance. Yet, the subtle tremor in his voice betrayed the depths of his feelings. A peculiar feeling lingered in the air. In his avoidance of eye contact, and the way his shoulders drooped, there was a palpable weight, as if he carried an invisible burden that pressed heavily upon him. I lingered, my fingers resting gently on the door's edge. A part of me wishes to honor his privacy, yet the stronger, more assertive side compels me to seek answers. With a soft voice, I called out to Liam as I stepped into the restroom, making sure to close the door quietly behind me. Should any concerns arise, feel free to share them with me. I promised to hold back my judgment. He gripped the towel firmly, then eased his hold just a touch, if only for a fleeting moment. I thought he would keep his lips sealed. Yet he let out a shaky breath and settled himself on the edge of the bathtub. He admitted, a hint of shyness in his tone, his voice barely rising above a whisper, as I leaned against the counter, adopting a relaxed posture to put him at ease. I softly expressed that there is no obligation to share anything that causes discomfort. Yet sometimes, engaging in conversation about it could prove to be helpful. He nodded with intention, his eyes fixed on the ground beneath him. I found myself wrestling with a dilemma, unsure of whom to turn to for guidance. His vulnerability caught me off guard, guard Liam had always shown a remarkable sense of independence and self-reliance. Thus, his choice to share his thoughts with me, someone he rarely opened up to about personal matters, was quite significant. "What is it?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral and supportive. He took a moment, his fingers working gently at the nape of his neck. "It relates to my being. There's an oddity that catches my attention, leaving me in a state of uncertainty about whether it truly deserves my concern or if I'm merely reading too much into it." His words spilled forth with urgency, as though they had been held back for far too long. A wave of empathy washed over me for him. It probably took a great deal of courage to share even that much. With careful consideration, I articulated my thoughts. "In this vast journey, you stand among many. At some point, everyone finds themselves with such questions, and it's truly admirable that you are mindful of your well-being. Shall I lend a hand in untangling the situation?" He gazed up at me, his face a tapestry woven with threads of relief and uncertainty. "I would not stand in the way. Certainly not," I responded, offering a reassuring smile. "Together, we can navigate this journey." As our dialogue unfolded, the initial unease started to fade away. Liam expressed his worries in disjointed phrases. His words flowed, punctuated by fleeting glances at the ground, as if the earth held secrets he dared not uncover. I listened intently. As Liam wove his tale, I offered gentle encouragement and thoughtful guidance. The weight of his worries grew more and more apparent. His voice trembled with every word, revealing the weight of thoughts he had long kept hidden. The bathroom, enveloped in warmth and the gentle aroma of soap, seemed an unexpected setting for such a personal exchange. In that very instant, it became the sole realm of meaning. "I guess I just don't know if it's normal," Liam said, fiddling with the edge of the towel. "There is no guide for this matter, is there? My father isn't exactly the person I would turn to for advice." His words hung in the air, carrying an unspoken truth that cut through the unease. Liam and Patrick shared a harmonious connection. Nonetheless, a hidden chasm lingered on. The barrier stood as a mystery, one that neither side seemed to grasp or understand. I spoke softly, leaning against the sink, acknowledging that it could be difficult to delve into certain matters, even with those closest to you. Yet, tackling these challenges is truly praiseworthy. It is better to hold them back inside. He yielded, his expression shrouded in mystery. "I simply do not want to come across as odd or unwelcome," I gently interjected. "For everyone experiences such feelings at some point in their journey. Have no fear. You are not strange. Your bravery shines through as you tackle the issue head-on." His lips curled into a subtle grin, and for a fleeting moment, I dared to hope that the tension in his shoulders might ease away. Yet, it was clear that he harbored deeper reflections. He revealed his voice, nearly a whisper, reveals a deep sense of disconnection from his identity, leaving him feeling out of place. As he shared his struggles, a wave of emotion washed over me, leaving me deeply moved by the depth of his reflections. This matter went beyond the realm of the tangible. A deep conundrum had been weighing heavily on the mind, him for a prolonged duration. After a brief pause for reflection, I offered Liam a comforting assurance, declaring that all was well with him. He was merely charting the course of his thoughts, a perfectly reasonable endeavor, for no one possesses all the answers, responses, especially given his age. He gazed up at me, his eyes searching mine for a sign of agreement. I truly held that belief. With unwavering assurance, I declared my intention to help him, and no matter the challenges we faced, we would tackle this together. For the first time, Liam's demeanor softened a little. He leaned back against the wall, the towel still clutched in his hand, and let out a long, deep breath. "This subject has never crossed my lips before." I questioned whether anyone would truly understand. "There are moments when we overlook the talents and strengths of those around us," I commented with a subtle smile. One might be amazed by their ability to understand if given the chance. It is perfectly reasonable to choose wisely about whom you share your thoughts with, for not everyone deserves to know every detail of your story. He nodded again, this time with a newfound confidence, affirming that it all came together beautifully. The conversation then flowed, moving away from the weight of his initial fears transformed into more practical concerns. With a gentle touch, I shared insights drawn from my own journey, ensuring the atmosphere remained easygoing and free from any hint of judgment or unease throughout our dialogue. I witnessed a change in Liam. The usual guardedness that surrounded him seemed to fade away, replaced by tentative willingness to engage. It seemed that he was beginning to allow himself to be seen, not just by me, but also by his own eyes. As our conversation unfolded, I noticed a growing intensity in his gaze directed at me, a reaction that felt almost inevitable given the dynamics at play. However, I cannot deny that its considerable size piqued my curiosity. I offered my help. With care, I cleaned it and sometimes presented it when the moment called for it. Yet, in those moments, it was favored to be handled, shifting it in an up and down motion. In the midst of my swirling thoughts, a realization dawned upon me. This moment would not be the last time I would grasp it tightly. As time flowed on, the dialogue gradually softened, and the once palpable tension in the bathroom began to fade away, surrounded by calm. Liam looked at me, his face a mixture of thankfulness and ease. "Thank you," he murmured gently. Never did I imagine that I would find myself sharing this with another soul. I offered a gentle smile and reached out to tenderly caress his shoulder. "I find great joy in this moment." "Indeed, you did. And keep in mind that I am always here for you should you wish to engage in a conversation about anything. No matter the situation, I am here for you." He nodded, his eyes glistening with unspoken emotions. As I stood to leave the bathroom, a curious blend of emotions washed over me. In that moment, a wave of relief washed over me, knowing that Liam had chosen to share his burdens with me, and I had been there to lend a helping hand. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning, that his challenges ran deeper than he was letting on. The evening unfolded with a serene grace, each moment flowing gently into the next. Liam retreated to his room, leaving me in the living room, cradling a cup of tea, while I pondered our conversation. It was rare. Liam's choice to share his thoughts with me held great significance, yet it left a lingering sense of discomfort in the air. What if there were deeper battles he faced that I had yet to uncover? And what if I found myself unable to provide the support he needed, even though I was ready to lend a hand? As the hours slipped away, a torrent of questions flooded my mind. In the end, I found myself drawn to the idea of retiring for the night. Yet sleep remained a distant companion. I lay there, eyes fixed on the ceiling, the weight of the day's troubles pressing down on me. Even as shadows of uncertainty crept closer, one truth lingered in the air. I would make every effort to support Liam, not realizing that the events of that evening were merely the beginning. In the days that followed, a strange, almost tangible, an air of unease lingered. Yet on the surface, all seemed perfectly normal. Liam persisted in his routine, juggling a part-time job at a local cafe, retreating to his room, and skillfully sidestepping the weightier topics we had previously explored. Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. A connection, both mysterious and tangible, wove itself between us. I tried to mask my surprise after Liam's revelation, and I worked hard to offer him comfort. I thought all would be well, but there were faint signs that caught my eye. I watched him retreat into his own world, his eyes skirting away from mine as we crossed paths in the hallway, and I could sense the tightness in his shoulders each time I tried to engage in casual conversation. It felt as if he was withdrawing into a hidden world, a place he had not allowed me to explore. One evening at dinner, as we sat in silence, I caught a glimpse of him stealing a look at me from the corner of his eye. For a fleeting instant, our eyes locked, but he swiftly turned away, a flush creeping across his cheeks. This fleeting interaction filled me with a disquieting feeling, as though an unspoken tension hung in the air between us. I tried to brush it aside, yet it turned out to be quite the challenge. The bond it seemed to be transforming into an uncertain state. Even though Patrick wore his usual cheerful expression when he came home that night, and we followed our customary routine, Liam felt a subtle unease lurking beneath the surface. He was more subdued than normal, and I caught his gaze wandering in my direction throughout the evening, only for him to look away when our eyes met. It was a quiet whisper of change, lingering in the air the following day. After Patrick departed for work, in the quiet of the home, I found myself with Liam, the aroma of lunch wafting through the kitchen as I prepared our meal. I caught the whisper. The echo of footsteps trailed behind me. I turned to see Liam standing at the doorway, his expression a mix of hesitation and uncertainty. I greeted him warmly, striving to keep my voice light and joyful. Is all to your liking? He looked at me for a brief moment, then nodded, confirming, yes. I simply wanted to engage in conversation, with a hint of nervousness stirring within me. This was the moment that had hung in the air between us for days. I set the knife aside. I had been using it, and turned to face him fully. What do you think, Liam? I asked. Though a storm of nerves swirled within me, my voice held steady, calm as a tranquil sea. He paused, shifting his weight from one foot to the other, as if weighing the decision to voice his thoughts. Recently, a curious feeling has been weaving its way into my experiences. He began his speech with a measured pace, each word chosen with care, as if crafting a tale that would captivate his audience. Once upon a time, in a world filled with endless possibilities, there existed a singular being who embarked on a journey of self-discovery and adventure. This individual, with a heart full of dreams and a mind brimming with imagination, set forth to weave tales that would captivate the hearts of many. Each step taken was a new chapter, each encounter a plot twist, and every moment a chance to create a narrative that would echo through the ages. The journey was not just about the destination, but the stories that unfolded along the way, rich with emotion and wonder. I find it difficult to express clearly, yet this vague unease has been weighing on my mind. I concentrated fully on him, watching as his eyes dropped to the ground, avoiding my own gaze. It is clear that you are able to engage in conversation with me, right? I softly expressed. If something weighs on your mind, know that I am here for you. He paused, allowing the silence to linger before he replied. He took a deep breath, as though bracing himself for the journey that awaited him. He ultimately declared, I am. In a haze of ambiguity, I find myself pondering my present condition. His voice, heavy with uncertainty, tugged at my heart as I caught a glimpse of the fragility reflected in his eyes. The doubt that had once cast a shadow over his face in our first exchange still hung in the air. The Liam who stood before me was a stark contrast to the one I had once known. He carried a hidden load, a heaviness that left him unsure of how to navigate its complexities. It's all right, I said softly, drawing closer and resting my hand on his shoulder. Sometimes it's perfectly fine to not have all the answers right away. Though the path may seem unclear, we shall journey through it side by side. He locked eyes with me, his gaze shimmering with a mix of gratitude and an elusive feeling that was hard to name. Once upon a time, there existed a raw honesty in his gaze, unveiling the true essence of Liam for the very first time. In a whisper barely above the silence, he revealed his turmoil, expressing a profound sense of disorientation and a haunting uncertainty about who he was and where he belonged in this vast world. I came to understand that I stepped beyond the realm of childhood. Yet, there are moments when I find myself grappling with the journey of growth, as though I am caught in the authenticity of his unveiling. It caught me off guard, exceeding my expectations. Liam grappled with profound emotional struggles, reaching far beyond mere physical transformations or feelings of shame. A multitude of voices echoed that feeling. Liam, I said softly, placing my hand on his shoulder. It can be quite the journey to grasp everything at once. Yet rest assured, you are not alone on this path. Your father and I stand united, ready to offer you our unwavering support. He met my gaze, and his expression softened, though a flicker of doubt lingered in his eyes. I simply prefer not to burden anyone. Your presence is a gift, not a weight to bear. In the face of my struggles, I vowed to him, my voice steady and unwavering, that we will forever be a family. And in the toughest of times, we stand together as one. He offered a thoughtful nod, the edges of his lips curling just a bit, as though my words had granted him a small measure of solace. As the afternoon unfolded, Liam seemed to find his comfort. He lingered in the kitchen, lending a hand with the dishes and sharing in light conversation. Dialogue. His usual silence gave way to a careful willingness to share. For the first time in days, he bore resemblance to the Liam I once knew, a bit less guarded and more at ease. Yet, beneath his smiles and laughter, an undeniable feeling lingered. That unvoiced burden still lay hidden within him. His eyes remained partially closed, and I realized that this conversation, no matter how meaningful, was merely the beginning of a new chapter. As the night deepened and I settled into the comfort of my bed, I found myself reflecting on all that had unfolded. After that event, Liam opened up to me more than he had in years. Yet, I felt there were hidden facets of his character, parts he was not ready to unveil. Yet, one truth stood clear and undeniable. With unwavering determination, I pledged to support him, no matter how long it took, or what obstacles lay ahead in our journey. This reached far beyond mere physical well-being or probing questions that made one uneasy. The emphasis lay in guiding Liam on his journey of self-discovery, offering support as he navigated the myriad challenges of growing up. As the days unfolded, it became clear that whatever trials awaited us, we would face them side by side, signaling merely the beginning of our adventure. The days that came after our conversation revealed a delicate balance. Liam had transformed, his honesty shining through, and I sensed a wave of relief washing over him, as though he had finally let go of a heavy weight he'd been carrying. Yet, beneath his polished exterior, there remained a subtle uncertainty, an unspoken tension that hung in the air between us, much like a hidden truth yearning to be unveiled. As the week unfolded, I found myself reflecting on the outcome of our conversations and pondering the fate of Liam. Truly felt at ease to share their deepest thoughts with me. He had shared with me the weighty chapters of his life, igniting within me a deep commitment to stand by him as he journeyed through his inner struggles, challenges. Yet, there lingered a mysterious essence I could not quite grasp, which became vividly apparent each time I looked into his eyes. There were moments when it seemed he stood at the edge of something truly significant, a moment that would change the course of everything. One evening, after the meal had been shared, Liam seemed more distant than usual. He barely participated in the conversation during the meal, offering brief and distant responses to my questions. Many times, I caught sight of him, yet he always turned away, as if lost in his own world. As the evening settled in, thoughts lingered after supper, while Patrick retreated to the living room. Drawn to the flickering screen of the television I found myself in the heart of the kitchen, surrounded by the clatter of dishes. An unsettling feeling lingered in the air, refusing to be ignored. Liam emerged once more in the doorway. His expression was a mystery, and the uncertainty that often lingered in his eyes was now shrouded in an unfathomable darkness. My heart quickened as I pivoted to face him, wiping my hands on a cloth for drying dishes. I asked softly, striving to keep my tone even, though the tension in my voice was hard to hide. "Is everything all right?" He gave a slight nod, yet held back from stepping into the room. A prolonged stillness enveloped us as he lingered in that moment, and I felt the weight of his feelings hanging in the air between us. Liam shared in a quiet voice as he had been reflecting on their conversation. He seemed almost hesitant about your declaration of being there for me. He paused for a moment, then took a step closer. His expression was strained. I feel it's time to delve into another topic. What troubles you? A mystery that has eluded my understanding. With each step I took toward him, his words quickened my pulse, my heart heavy with a mix of anxiety and curiosity. Absolutely, Liam, whatever it may be, we shall confront it together. He let out a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. With a flick of his hair, a familiar nervous gesture emerged, one I had come to associate with moments of fragility, as he expressed that the weight of the world need not be carried alone. It is challenging for me to express this, he said, his voice trembling just a bit. Yet I feel compelled to share something with you. For a while, I found myself in a state of turmoil, unsure of whom to turn to for guidance. I stood still, my breath caught in my throat, fully aware that whatever loomed before me was of great significance. I held back from pushing him, but my heart longed to offer my help. Thus, I merely offered a nod of encouragement. He paused, his eyes drifting to the ground for a fleeting moment before they found their way to mine. In the quiet moments, a transformation has taken root within me, as I grapple with the heavy words that hung in the atmosphere, unexpected and laden with meaning. Leaving me momentarily stunned, I paused, my mind racing, unsure if I had truly grasped his meaning. Unique, I murmured, my voice barely rising above a whisper, my heart racing. What do you mean, Liam? He swallowed audibly, his jaw clenched tight as he fought to keep his composure. He shared his bewilderment, revealing that he has been questioning various facets of who he is. It seems that my heart has begun to weave a tale of affection for you. I paused, grappling with the words, unsure if my emotions belonged solely to me. As I pondered deeper, the truth of his words began to echo within me, yet his confession left me frozen in place. I looked at him, a swirl of thoughts dancing in my mind, unsure of how to reply. His words danced in the air, elusive and shrouded in mystery as I sought to unravel their hidden meaning. My heart raced, and my thoughts surged like a wild river, striving to grasp the words that filled the air around me. This was not the outcome I had envisioned. It was not what I had envisioned when I pledged my unwavering support to him. Yet, as I looked deep into his eyes, I sensed the raw truth and pressing urgency that lay beneath the surface. Liam stood quietly, making no requests at all. He was simply trying to unravel the tapestry of his feelings. In that moment, I understood his yearning for someone who would hear him without judgment. Yet, I cannot overlook the sense of relief that washed over me as I remembered the contours of his form in the bathroom, a thought that often stirred my spirit. I breathed in deeply, striving to calm the storm inside. With a soft tremor in my voice, I said, Liam, I cherish your company. Yet, there is something I must share with you. I paused in my search for the right words. In your essence, there is no imperfection. In this moment, you find yourself in a puzzling scenario, and it's perfectly natural to feel a bit lost now and then. Yet, it is essential for you to grasp that the topic we are delving into is quite complex. This situation is complex. He nodded, his eyes shimmering with a mixture of apprehension and solace. In the depths of my mind, I found myself wrestling with the choice of whom to trust with my thoughts, a burden I longed to set down, yet hesitated to share. His voice wavered just a bit, a subtle hint of vulnerability creeping in. This was not about longing. It was a tale of confusion in the quest for refuge amidst an unexpectedly overwhelming landscape. I drew near and gently rested my hand upon his shoulder. Liam, I declared, my voice steady yet filled with warmth, I will forever remain. I stand ready to lend my support. Yet this situation calls for careful thought and reflection. Your emotions hold weight, yet we must tread carefully as we move forward. I find myself unable to proceed with that. I find myself unable to offer what you seek in the way you envision. And I hope to steer clear of leading you down a path that could prove harmful to us both." He looked at me, his lips trembling as though he sensed my impending retreat or a plea for him to leave. Yet I stood still, striving to offer comfort in the only way I knew how. I promised him that I would always be a trusted companion, but we must carefully consider the implications of our situation without rushing. Then a profound change unfolded within me. I pondered the reasons behind my refusal to yield to his request. It was all so thrilling for me. So why not? After a brief pause, I wrapped my arms around his neck and pressed my lips to his. He offered a gentle kiss. Her lips met mine, and the moment lingered on, stretching into something beautifully eternal. It felt as if an explosion of longing had erupted within both him and me. "I sincerely regret any misunderstanding that may have occurred." Liam, I declared after a brief moment of reflection. "It holds no significance." "And so?" Without a moment's pause, you replied. I pulled away from his lips and gently lowered myself down. I achieved what I had longed for since that moment in the restroom. Lost in my thoughts, I looked up and noticed the delight he was taking in this moment. "This is truly exceptional. Astonishing," he whispered softly. After about 10 minutes, I noticed he was approaching his conclusion, which urged me to quicken my pace. Then a profound hush fell over the scene. In that moment of silence, the weight of his words hung between us, unspoken yet profoundly felt. Slowly, Liam drew in a deep breath, his shoulders relaxing as though he had been holding his breath for far too long. "Thank you," he whispered. "To embark on this journey, I require that. It brings me great joy." I spoke gently, my heart weighed down by a tumult of emotions. "And keep in mind that you need not settle every matter all at once. In this journey, you have companions by your side." After a moment of reflection, Liam gave a nod and took a step back. A subtle smile graced his lips as he softly declared, "I'm going to head upstairs." Gratitude flows from my heart once more. Tonight, I look forward to a night of restful slumber. Sleep well, Liam, I noted, watching him ascend the stairs. A gentle weight lifted from his shoulders. Yet, as I stood solitary in the kitchen, the unmistakable feeling of change hung in the air, refusing to fade away. I understood that this moment held great significance. It was a defining moment in our journey together. A journey that could lead to restoration or a more complex tale unfolding. The days that followed emerged wrapped in an eerie hush. A noticeable yet understated transformation unfolded within the household atmosphere. Liam had retreated into himself once again. But this time, it was a different kind of solitude that enveloped him. It was a subtle chill, an elusive distance that lingered in the air. It seemed as if he was still weaving together all that we have, his endeavors to understand his feelings and select a journey forward. There were moments when he seemed adrift, ensnared in deep thought. He stared into the distance, his fingers absent-mindedly tracing patterns on his palms or the rim of his coffee cup. I made an effort to avoid putting too much pressure on him. It became clear to me that this was a journey he had to embark on alone, at his own pace, even though it was fraught with difficulties. As I sought to respect his desire for solitude, I also yearned to extend my hand, hoping to shield him from the shadows of loneliness. The way he carried was impossible to ignore. His usually lively eyes now held a faraway, empty gaze. One afternoon, as I sat in the living room, I caught sight of Liam making his way down the hallway. With shoulders hunched and head bowed, he moved with a subtle heaviness that spoke volumes. Yet it carried profound significance. It was clear to me that he carried a weight, a burden that lingered beyond the topics we had explored before. With no hesitation, I stood up and made my way towards him, finding him at the foot of the stairs. He looked up as I approached, surprised by my sudden appearance. "Liam," I inquired softly, "might we share a few words together?" He paused, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. as though he might turn back to the solitude of his room. Yet, with a deliberate nod, he seemed to surrender to a deeper yearning to share his voice. We ventured into the living room, where he took his place on the couch, regarding me with a mix of unease and eager expectation. It has been a while since we last exchanged words. I began my journey by settling into a seat close to him, yet ensuring a respectful distance lingered between us. It seems there's a lingering thought that continues to occupy your mind. If you prefer not to engage in conversation, that is perfectly fine. Nonetheless, I wish for you to know that I stand ready to offer my support. At first, he held his tongue, staring ahead with a clenched jaw. After what felt like an eternity, he let out a deep sigh and turned to face me with a weighty resolve. He began, his voice soft and hesitant. As I ponder your thoughts on our family connection, I can't help but wonder if I'm reading too much into it all. In the depths of my mind, I find myself grappling with a feeling of entrapment, as though my emotions are somehow misplaced, leaving me in a state of uncertainty about how to break free from this internal confinement. I sensed the frustration in his voice and saw it reflected in his eyes. Liam had persistently tried to keep his emotions at bay, even when they surged within him like a tempest. It appeared he held that by keeping silent about them, they might fade away. Yet, I held the knowledge of the truth within me. Emotions linger, never truly disappearing. They endure, sometimes growing stronger until they reach a point where they can no longer be ignored. In this very moment, it's perfectly fine not to have all the answers. Embrace the journey ahead. I spoke gently. Your feelings are real, and it's perfectly natural to feel lost and uncertain at times. Does not make you a villain, unique being. It merely reflects your essence as a human being. All individuals encounter moments like these. He looked at me. The expression remains shrouded in ambiguity. He nodded slowly, yet his voice was gentle as he expressed his desire to avoid any awkwardness between them, as if the mere act of speaking brought forth a sense of discomfort within him. I hope to tread carefully. Limits or going overboard. Yet, I find myself unsure of whom else to trust with my thoughts. My heart aches for him, a deep longing that resonates within me. I witnessed his deep battle to understand himself and to make sense of the clashing feelings that were pulling at him. In that moment, I understood a essential reality. He was not in search of answers from me. Instead, he yearned for affirmation of the authenticity of his emotions. It is acceptable for him to experience confusion. Liam, I declared, my voice steady and resolute. You are not crossing any lines. You are not over the top. As a singular being navigating the tapestry of your existence, it is entirely human to seek understanding of your surroundings. Your feelings do not make you wrong or unethical. They embody the essence of your humanity. He swallowed audibly, then cast his eyes upon his hands. Clearly, lost in deep thought, he lingered on my words, weaving them into the fabric of his own turmoil, striving to find harmony amidst the chaos within. At times, he pondered softly whether he would ever stop feeling this way, or if he would find clarity regarding who he truly is. In the midst of doubt, I find myself wandering through a fog of uncertainty. I ventured onward, gently, making certain he grasped the fullness of my being. Liam, it's perfectly fine to not have all the answers. A journey is unfolding before you. Though the journey may not unfold in an instant, you will arrive at your destination, and you need not traverse this path alone for an prolonged duration. We lingered in quietude, the only sounds being the soft hum of the refrigerator and the gentle whisper of the wind outside. In the stillness, a profound sense of catharsis and healing emerged. Liam did not need me to solve his problems. He simply required my company to hear him, and that was enough. I can share this with anyone, but you have comforted me by affirming that my feelings are genuine and not something to feel guilty about. Gratitude is unnecessary. With a gentle tone, I offered him a faint smile, expressing my gratitude for his trust in sharing this matter. I reminded him that his feelings are always valid and never without reason. I'm always there for Liam, no matter the situation. But that evening after our talk, he seemed more at ease, though a quiet sadness still hung in his eyes, though he had yet to uncover all the answers he yearned for. A flicker of hope ignited within him for the first time in weeks, suggesting that perhaps he was not entirely alone in his bewilderment. In the days that followed, Liam slowly unveiled more of his essence, and with every exchange, the weight upon his shoulders seemed to ease just a bit. The journey was not a hurried one, yet it marked a significant advancement. He seemed more present and less caught up in his own musings. Yet it was clear that he still had a journey of self-discovery ahead of him. Weeks later, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Liam turned to me with a soft smile and simply said, "Thanks." His voice carried a soothing warmth, filled with a deep sense of gratitude. "Your assistance has been invaluable, and I truly wonder how I would have navigated through without it." I replied that gratitude was unnecessary. "It brings me great comfort to see you have charted your course." And in that realization, I grasped that any obstacles we faced would be met together, united in our journey. There would be moments of uncertainty and additional questions to explore. Yet, I understood that the bond we shared was built on trust and respect, and our understanding was strong enough to withstand any trial.